Hello there! Holy crap, I finally finished watching Obi-Wan Kenobi and it was absolutely amazing. I loved it. I loved everything they did. Except for like one episode, but other than that, I loved the show. I don't know, it was just a really good show. I thought it was really great. I hope it gets a season 2. However, this video is not about talking about how good Kenobi is. It is talking about lightsaber duels. I love them, and I am currently waiting for a video game that will give me the option to have great lightsaber duels. No, a different one. No, a different one. No, a different. So, I decided, why not we rank all of the fights that we see in Obi-Wan Kenobi? And I kept thinking about it, and thinking about it, and thinking about it, and now here's the video, and it was a lot of work, so it would mean a whole lot if you comment below which one of the lightsaber duels was your favorite. I think I'm gonna see a lot of the last one, but I'm still curious, and now we gotta rank all 4 of these duels while narrowly dodging copyright, so here we go, yay! Before we jump in, however, I just wanted to quickly say how I'm going to be setting this up. I'm not going to be going from number 4 to number 1 because that always seemed kind of dumb for me for ranking lists, because then you can kind of surmise what's going to be number 1. Because of that, I decided we're going to go through each of the 4 lightsaber duels and just talk a little bit about them, and then put them on the list as we go along. And then at the end of the video, I'll tell you the grand tally of what's number 1 all the way to number 4. And now that we have that all set up, let's get right into the ranking. Obi-Wan Kenobi versus Darth Vader on MAPUZO. You know what? I'm just going to say it. This is the one Star Wars fight that actually feels like it could be a horror movie. Something that I always loved in the Palpatine versus Windu duel is that it almost felt like Palpatine's music was of a horror movie villain. It sounded evil and screeching, you know what I mean? I'll see if I can like play a clip during this part to kind of illustrate what I mean. If not, then, you know, Disney has stricken me down. But basically, I see that a lot in this duel between Vader and Obi-Wan. I'm someone who really likes to watch the fighting styles of different characters and see how they change and morph over time, and I love that the first time we see Obi-Wan turn on his lightsaber, it is in self-defense, of course, because that's his whole thing. His whole thing is self-defense. But what's even more is that you can see the fear in his eyes. All of his defensive strategies from his fight between Anakin and himself on Mustafar isn't working in this fight. He can't stay defensive because every time he tries, Vader just completely overpowers him. With one hand, might I add. This is the only duel in the series that feels truly like original trilogy Darth Vader, slowly walking towards you while just delivering absolutely devastating strikes. The music combined with the fighting styles, the horror movie feels, and of course that intense scene of Obi-Wan getting burned in fire similar to Anakin in Revenge of the Sith, it just makes an absolutely epic duel, despite it only being the first one. And I know what you're gonna say, why didn't Vader just grab Obi-Wan through the fire when the loader droid picked him up? Because Vader is scared of fire. Do you remember what happened the last time Anakin touched fire? It did not end well. So, of course he wouldn't want to get close to the fire. That's why he was using the Force to drag Obi-Wan into the very small flames. But when there are way more flames, of course he'd want to stay away from them. I don't think Vader's suit is fireproof either, so there's that too. Overall, I think this is a pretty good starting point for this video, and because of that, it's just going to be the middle ground. This probably would be the best duel to start with anyway, since it is such a basic duel, but it has so many good underlying qualities about it. And from here, the duels are only going to get better. So just you wait, big boy. I don't know why I said it like that, but yeah, big boy. Obi-Wan Kenobi versus Anakin Skywalker, Jedi Temple Training Flashback. Are you happy? Are you happy now? We have Hayden Christensen back as Anakin Skywalker. Are you happy? Will you watch the show now? Will you give it a chance now? I'm pretty sure everyone and their mother knew that these types of flashbacks are going to happen. I mean, it's Hayden Christensen. Everyone wanted to see him back as Anakin Skywalker, and yeah, as Darth Vader, it's still pretty cool, but like, Anakin, though. But here's the thing. While we did expect to see flashbacks like this with Hayden Christensen as Anakin again, we didn't expect A, for it to be a flashback to before Attack of the Clones, and B, for it to be a training duel between Anakin and Obi-Wan. When I first saw the beginning of this flashback in the very beginning of the episode, I was genuinely worried that they were just going to milk the Anakin versus Obi-Wan duel from Revenge of the Sith. And yeah, they technically did, but at the same hand, it's also a very good fight and very entertaining. I haven't gotten a chance to commend Ewan's acting, but man, is it just so good. And his lightsaber form just looks the exact same as it did all the way back in Revenge of the Sith. Same thing goes for Hayden Christensen. They both just look so good. You can say what you want about the CGI, but neither of them have lost their step when it comes to dueling. I know that in behind the scenes they said that they preferred the sticks that they had in the prequel era, but I still think that the new lightsabers that they were given look pretty good. I mean, there are just so many little details to make this feel like Attack of the Clones. Somebody noted online that the video quality is a bit more grainy to kind of reflect what was going on in 2002, and they even used a matte painting as the background. They don't use matte paintings anymore. That's just amazing, amazing craftsmanship. This duel is so great to parallel the episode to as well. I mean, what can I say? It's just a really great duel. It's visually really enticing, but it also just shows you how much the showrunners really wanted to capture every era of Star Wars. The original trilogy, maybe a little bit of the sequel trilogy, maybe with that big tomb scene, and the prequel trilogy, of course, as well. I also want to mention that just in the middle of the fight, Anakin's anger kind of slips, and he starts brutally attacking Obi-Wan's lightsaber. I mean, he probably knows that he could defend it since he's the defensive Jedi, but at the same time, this kind of proves that maybe he wasn't fully ready to become a Jedi Knight. He had the power, but he didn't have the maturity, I guess. But yeah, unexpectedly, this fight is leagues better than the Obi-Wan versus Vader fight. The Obi-Wan versus Vader fight is good in its own way, but I just love this for all the reasons I just listed. So yeah, this is going above that. Woohoo. Third Sister versus Darth Vader. Okay, I'm gonna be absolutely dead serious, but the Reva versus Vader fight was sick, because it was barely even a fight. You gotta remember, Reva was a youngling when Anakin was still in his prime, and now he's become Darth Vader, which is exponentially worse. What was great about this episode is that not only did we have Anakin and Obi-Wan taking the raids, but we also got a chance to dissect Reva and make her a more interesting character. And this fight is basically the summation of all of her flaws, because at the end of her day, her plan was conceptually a failure. But before we get to Reva, let's talk about Vader really quickly and why he's not actually even using his lightsaber. There are a lot of theories for why Vader isn't using his lightsaber, but I'm gonna go with the most obvious and say he was pwned so hard by Obi-Wan, he wanted to get some serious revenge, and while it can't be on Obi-Wan himself, he can take out his anger on the person he was just trying to stab him in the back. And what's even crazier, this isn't even breaking any canon bounds, because guess what? Rey and Kylo also used the Force to stop each other's lightsabers in The Rise of Skywalker. You remember that movie? We hate that movie, but it still happened. So Vader just completely styled on them. And before that, he even styled on them by pulling a ship out of the air with one hand. This also kind of proves that the Inquisitors really weren't trained very well, were they? I mean, Reva was a youngling when she first started learning about the Jedi Order and everything and was trained from birth. That much is certain. But you also got to remember a lot of the other Inquisitors might not have been younglings. I think the Seventh Sister was a Padawan, the Grand Inquisitor was a Temple Guard. They all have varying degree skills in lightsaber combat. But at the same time, Vader and Palpatine wouldn't spill all of their secrets to people that, let's be honest, at the end of the day, they would probably just finish off themselves once all the Jedi were gone. And I take this fight as basically being the proof in the pudding. Vader and Palpatine did not train these Inquisitors enough to actually face them in battle, but they did train them just enough to take out Jedi, which is kind of the only thing they needed. Now, let's very briefly talk about Reva. I like Reva a lot, and I'm glad that they decided to flesh her out in the 5th episode. But I don't like her for what she's accomplished, I like her for her flaws. And you wanna know her biggest flaw? She waited years of her life plotting to kill the murderer of all of her friends, and when she thought she finally had a chance, she flummoxed it at the absolute very end. All she needed to do was hold the lightsaber closer to him and turn it on, but she needed that satisfaction of trying to slice him, and that was her biggest downfall. Reva's plan was ultimately flawed not because she tried to attack Vader out of anger, but because this entire scheme was plotting from revenge. And revenge isn't the Jedi way. Vader knows that very well. It's very interesting they decided to leave Reva alive at the very end, and I'm curious to see where her arc is going to go from here. But overall, this was a great fight. Kind of showcased how powerful Vader is, why they don't train the Inquisitors as much, and kind of making Reva a cooler character by showcasing what she could actually do. And with all that, it still isn't one of my favorites. It's cool, don't get me wrong, but some of the weird dodges she does and like Vader barely doing anything to her once he gets one of her lightsabers is kind of dumb, I will admit. And just because of those very minor things, it barely offsets it to being in between Anakin and Obi-Wan's duel and Obi-Wan and Vader's duel. Definitely not as good as them, but not as bad either. I like the duel a lot, and that's all I have to say on it. On to the final one. Obi-Wan Kenobi versus Darth Vader, final battle. Honestly, what do you want me to say? This might just be the best lightsaber duel of all time. It has emotion, it has amazing choreography, and it has an amazing payoff for something we've been wondering about for years. For everyone who asked why we needed this show, this is why. This one fight illustrates exactly why we needed it. Because we needed Obi-Wan to come to terms with not only what he thought was his mistake, but also for Vader to get one last reality check before he becomes the all-knowing, all-powerful Sith Lord he is. Throughout the entire show, Obi-Wan has had it hammered into his head that he failed Anakin. He failed the Jedi Order. He failed them all. It was hammered in his head in the first episode by Owen Lars, then again by Reva. It has been inexplicably confirmed by everyone around him that he is why this has happened. He failed at being a Jedi Master. He failed Qui-Gon Jinn. He failed everyone. But in a rare moment of brief life, Vader offers him the truth. He didn't fail Anakin. He did the best he could. It was Vader who consumed him and Palpatine who manipulated him. It was all them, and it wasn't his fault. This is an incredibly powerful scene because for so long, Obi-Wan thought that all of this rested on his shoulders. But the real question is, does this make him feel better that he wasn't the reason why this all happened? Or does it make him feel worse because that also means he has absolutely no power in changing the future? Or maybe he doesn't, because in the middle of the episode, we see flashbacks to Luke and to Leia, the future, the people who will save Anakin. I don't think Obi-Wan knows what it means yet, but I feel like this is a vision telling him that they are the future. They are the ones that will turn Darth Vader back into Anakin Skywalker. That's just one of the reasons why I love this duel. Vader also goes through something, but in an opposite way. He has been so consumed by anger, resentment, revenge, that he has a one-track mind in finding Obi-Wan. Every single time Obi-Wan even comes up, he has no patience and absolutely no other priorities. He's only been focused on Obi-Wan throughout all of it. He finally has him in his hands, yet he still can't win. This is just something that he'll never learn. He can never understand why he can never beat Obi-Wan. Even on the fight on the Death Star, he could never beat him. He never got to cut through his flesh. The only thing he got was air and emptiness. This episode only furthers to show why Anakin is such a tragic character. He had it all, he was manipulated, and now he's stuck in this giant circle of hate and revenge. This is why I love this fight so much, not just for the amazing choreography, but for the emotion. And that's why I wanted to focus on it in this The choreography is absolutely amazing. I love that Obi-Wan can use different moves from Count Dooku, Qui-Gon, himself, Anakin, and Yoda. And I love that Vader has a mix of his style and Anakin's style. But that's not why I love it. I love it because of how it illustrates a great story and how it continues to further these two characters. I don't know if we'll get a Kenobi Season 2, but if we do, I hope they don't meet again. I hope this is how they leave it until they meet again on the Death Star. Because this, to me, is absolutely perfect. I'm putting this duel at the top of the list and number 3 of my favorite duels of all time. Wow, this video took more editing than most of my other videos combined. Man, I want to die. No, but out of all seriousness, it's time to talk about what the rankings actually are. So, in 4th place, we have Obi-Wan Kenobi versus Darth Vader on MAPUZO. I love the duel a lot. It's a great starting duel. It's just not the best one, and it's not trying to be, so that's a good thing. In 3rd place, we have Reva versus Vader, aka Third Sister versus Vader on Jabimi. And yeah, that duel was pretty cool, but I don't know, Reva's weird little dodges she does is still weird to me, but I still really like the duel overall. In 2nd place, we have Obi-Wan Kenobi versus Anakin in the Jedi Temple Trading Flashback. That duel was cool. It was great to see Anakin's fighting style come back again in full, and I absolutely loved seeing prequel dueling once more. And of course, literally no question about it, in the very first place, we have Obi-Wan Kenobi versus Darth Vader final duel. I know I didn't list a planet, but that's because we don't know the planet's name right now. So maybe in the future we'll know the planet's name, but as of the time of this recording, we have no idea. And now we can end one of my dream videos. I finally made a ranking list for lightsaber duels. Thank you all so much for watching. I would love to do more of this because even though it was a lot of editing, there's still a lot more lightsaber duels to do. I'd love to do a video on each of the trilogies, maybe the Clone Wars, Rebels, and anything else that has lightsaber duels in it. I want to know what you all think. Should I do these in a new series? Should I cover more lightsaber duels and rank them? I don't know if this video is at all interesting to my viewer base, but I had a lot of fun talking about all of these great lightsaber duels, and I love Star Wars, so I'd be happy to put the work in if everyone really wants to see it. But anyway, thank you so much for watching. Make sure to go check out my other content if you're at all interested. I'll see you later. Bye-bye.